Hey guys, what is up? It's Jacob B slash Election Insight here with another video, and today I will be taking the 8 values political compass test just to show you guys how I actually feel on things instead of giving you straight analysis. I believe it's important to know how the sources you watch for predictions feel, because then you'll know how biased the prediction is. So, with that being said, I'm going to start. Oppression by corporations is more of a concern than oppression by governments. Both are bad, but governments were the number one killer of people in the 20th century. So I'm actually going to disagree. It is necessary for the government to intervene in the economy to protect consumers. To an extent, yes. Completely unregulated capitalism is not a good idea, but pure socialism is also horrible. So, since it's to an extent, I'm just going to say neutral. The freer the markets, the freer the people. Again, completely free market, laissez-faire capitalism. You can do whatever the heck you want. Not good. But complete command economies are bad. But I would say, in general, free markets are better than socialism. I'm just going to say slightly agree, or just agree. It is better to maintain a balanced budget than to ensure welfare for all citizens. Whew, this one's tough. I mean, we need to get our financial situation in order, but completely balanced. No, I would say no. That's especially with COVID. The debt and deficit's more of a long-term problem. Right now, I think we need to focus on where people get their next meal from and make sure we need to prevent as many people as we can from getting evicted. So I'm going to say disagree. Publicly funded research is more beneficial to the people than leaving it to the market. I mean, with both types of research, you're probably going to end up with the same conclusion, same type of thing. So I'm just going to say neutral. Tariffs on international trade are important to encourage local production. Yeah. I mean, it said neutral. Well, I'm pretty. But yeah, I do think tariffs are important. I would prefer more American workers and paying a slightly higher price, and I do believe tariffs are a way to handle this. From each a bit according to his ability, to each according to his needs. I mean, I'm pretty sure I heard this as I'm just gonna say neutral because pretty sure that means that's a Karl Marx statement, but yeah. It would be best if social programs were abolished in favor of private charity. I mean, the question is, what is there more? What percentage is being wasted when it's government money, and what percentage of the donation is being wasted in favor of charity? I honestly don't know. I would assume charities actually waste more, so I'm going to say disagree. Taxes should be increased on the rich to provide for the poor. I mean, the way I look at it, if you increase taxes on the rich, you're going to take down the amounts of wealth that they have, and their wealth is what they're creating the job. It's the rich that are creating the jobs, and if you give the poor money, they're going to pay for their next meal, which it keeps them hungry, or it prevents them from going hungry, but also it doesn't really help the economy besides their next meal. So no, not to say no. Inheritance is a legitimate form of wealth. I mean, there's nothing illegitimate about inheriting money if you get it properly, and there's nothing illegitimate about it. Basic utilities like roads and electricity should be publicly owned. Yeah, I think those are things that are private, or those are things that are essential for us. They're so essential that we cannot find a way to go with. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Government intervention is a threat to the economy. Too much government intervention is a threat to the economy, but unregulated, yeah, just another neutral one. Those with a greater ability to pay should receive better health care. It's another tough one. I mean, I do believe I'm gonna have to say agree because healthcare, it's probably, to me, the debate is whether it's a product or it's a right. I'd say 80% product, 20% right. You have a right to not die, but I don't think you have a right for certain cosmetic procedures or and other things that aren't really essential. I think you only have a right to basic essential health care. But yeah, you should be able to get better health care if you have more money. Quality education is a right of all people. Yeah, I'd say sure. The means of production should belong to the workers who use them. No, they should belong to the people who invested the capital, and the workers should receive a wage. The United Nations should be abolished. The UN, just all they do is pass resolutions, and I mean, they do have the peacekeeper force, which is important. Not a huge fan of the UN, but I think they should be cut, not abolished. Military action by our nations often necessary to protect it. Yes, yes, but it's not as necessary. It's not a. We go to war too much, but having no military is stupid. We'd be gone within 24 hours as a country if we got rid of the military. I support regional unions such as the European Union. The European Union is an alliance of countries and it makes Europe an economic powerhouse. So, yeah, sure, I'll support the EU. It is important to maintain our national sovereignty. Yes, strongly agree. A united world government would be beneficial to mankind. Well, no. Just no. It is more important to retain peaceful relations than further our strength. Yes, obviously, we don't want war. Wars do not need to be justified to other countries. I mean, they do need to be, disagree. Military spending is a waste of money. Strongly disagree. International aid is a waste of money. I mean, yeah, we give too much to countries and don't get along. America is a great nation. Yes. Research should be conducted on an international scale. I mean, with research, the goal is to end up with the same conclusion. So after you do your research, so it doesn't really matter how it's conducted. Government should be held accountable to the international community. I would say yes. Even when protesting an authoritarian government, violence is not acceptable. I would mostly agree with that. I mean, the question, though, even when protesting an authoritarian government, that means you've been abused, you've already been through a lot, and if it's violence as the last resort against an authoritarian government, I don't know, I'm just going to say neutral because that's such an extreme example to run into a true authoritarian government and actually be able to protest and not get shot when you even start. My religious values should be spread as much as possible. Like, personally, I'm a Catholic and I do believe in evangelism, but I do not believe. But I believe this question would be: do I support a theocracy spreading Catholicism? No. Our nation's values should be spread as much as possible. That one's a little tougher. There are people, if that's being used to justify like invading Iraq, to teach them in democracy and all that other stuff, no, we shouldn't do that. This would be used to justify war, so no. It is very important to maintain law and order. Yes, we saw what happened from the Capitol insurrection to the violence this summer when you don't. The general populace makes poor decisions. Economically, yes. Pretty much, I would have to say yes. Physician-assisted suicide should be legal. I mean, if you are alive, you're making your own conscientious choice. I mean, yeah, if it's truly your own choice and you're not being pressured by anyone to do it and you sign off on a bunch of... It should be heavily regulated, but yeah, I'd say legalize it. The sacrifice of some civil liberties is necessary to protect us from acts of terrorism. So what do you... I'm going to say no, because what do you define as civil liberties if you can just take them away whenever there's a threat? And with terrorism, there's always a threat, so that means there wouldn't be civil liberties. Government surveillance is necessary in the modern world. No, it's not necessary for the government to spy on its citizens. The very existence of the state is a threat to our liberty. No, a stateless world does not mean a freer world, because that would mean there would be no regulation, no nothing, and we'd really just be living by the rules of a few billionaires, so disagree. Regardless of political opinions, it is important to side with your country. I mean, depending on what they're doing, if they're, like, for example, if you lived in the 30s and the 40s in Germany, I mean, you obviously shouldn't have supported the Holocaust, but mostly, if it's, as long as it's not extreme, yeah, you should side with your country. All authority should be questioned. Yes. Hierarchical state is best. For most things, yeah. It's important to have a chain of command where one person reports to the next person. You know who's above you, you know who's below you. That's important. It is important that the government follows the majority opinion, even when it's wrong. I mean, for most things, you should follow majority opinion as long as it's not like 51-49. If it's a true, clear majority, which I define as like 60% or more, yeah, you should follow that, but there should be some things that the government says we should not move on, so I'm just going to say the lighter, agree. The stronger the leadership, the better. I mean, yeah, you need your leaders to be up front, work hard, and appear strong. Democracy is more than a decision-making process. I mean, it is an inherent value that we hold, so I would have to say yes. Environmental regulations are essential. Some mild ones, yes. You shouldn't be able to just put cancer-causing chemicals in the water, in the air. DDT should be illegal, but I mean, we probably have too many now, but a few would be essential. A better world will come from automation, science, and technology. Automation, no, because like a third of people would lose their jobs, is what I've read, if we actually automate. to the extent that we are now. Children should be educated in religious and traditional values. I think that's up for I think that's up for the parents to decide, but as for the religious part, but for the traditional part, yeah. I mean, you can't teach them that anything's okay because then they will not know boundaries of right from wrong and we will have issues in society, so I'm actually going to say yes. Traditions are of no value on their own. I mean, it depends on the tradition, but like the tradition of the family, that has value, but some of the more ritualistic traditions we do, no, I'm just going to say neutral. Religion should play a role in the government. No, because there are many different religions, and the violence that happens in Israel, that's what would happen if religion played a true role in the government. I disagree. Churches should be taxed the same way other institutions are taxed. No, I mean, they're not trying to make a profit. They're trying to better the people that they serve. They're not a for-profit business. Climate change is currently one of the greatest threats to our way of life. Climate change is a problem, yeah. But is it one of the greatest threats? And I would have to say climate change is a problem, yes. It is important that we work as a united world to combat climate change. I mean, you can't have like the US or China opt out and say we're going to pollute and do all this. If we're going after a problem that's as big as everybody says it is, yeah, I think the whole world would be important in that. Society was better many years ago than it is now. I'm gonna stay neutral on that because there are some things it was better at than it is now, but some things not, obviously. It is important that we maintain the traditions of our past. It depends on the traditions. I mean, some of the biblical ones are things that you don't want to maintain, but some of the family ones that you do that are harmless, yeah, you should probably maintain them. So I'm just going to say neutral. It is important that we think of the long term beyond our lifespans. It's pretty self-explanatory. Reason is more important than maintaining our culture. Obvious. Drug use should be legalized or decriminalized. This one is, to me, is an obvious no, it should not, because to me, if you legalize drug use, especially legalized where, say, you can go buy cocaine in the candy section at Walgreens, that would just encourage people to do drugs, and it would get out of control. It would make the situation now look petty or look paltry in comparison. So, yeah, and they also in San Francisco's Prop 47 that's caused crime to go up, and yeah, no. Same-sex marriage should be legal. Yeah, it doesn't. Gay people getting married does not impact any one of us if you're not gay. So yeah, we should stay out of gay people's lives. No cultures are superior to others. I'm going to disagree with that. I mean, there are some things in other cultures that are reprehensible. Sex outside of marriage is immoral. That's not for me to decide. Personally, I'm a Catholic, so my religion teaches me that I should not have sex outside of marriage. But yeah, that's not for me to decide. If we accept migrants at all, it is important that they assimilate into our culture. Yes, you will have a lot of problems if if they don't assimilate. You're gonna look like France, where France is barely even recognizable. There are no-go zones all over the place. Abortion should be prohibited in most or all cases. I, I I'm pro-life. I would say yeah, it needs to be heavily regulated, if not prohibited, except in the case of life of the mother and some maybe rape or incest. Gun ownership should be prohibited for those without a valid reason. No, that is an essential right. And the Second Amendment was created to defend yourself from government tyranny, so strongly disagree. I support single-payer universal health care. Oh, personally for me, my family has, we're not rich by any means, but we have a little bit of money. And every person I've talked to from Canada says that if you're poor, it's probably better to be in Canada than in the US. But if you have some money, you definitely rather be in the US as the doctors are better and all that. So yeah. Universal healthcare would be good for about the bottom 20% of the population, but anybody with even a smidge of money, universal healthcare would not be good. Prostitution should be illegal. I really don't care if it is or isn't. I do think if it was illegal, though, it should be heavily regulated, so I'm just going to put neutral. Maintaining family values is essential. Yes, the family unit is one of the most essential things we have, so I'm going to say yes. To chase progress at all costs is dangerous. Obviously, I mean, if you move especially with policy, if you move too fast to quote-unquote reform the system or completely change the system, you will create reactionary characters, and the system will actually end up getting worse. So I'm gonna... Oh, crap, I should have said... Agree, yeah. Genetic modification is a force for good, even on humans. Genetically modifying our food is not a good thing, I would say. We should open our borders to immigration. No. Our population would double overnight. We'd have all the poor come in. And open borders is just not a good idea for multiple reasons. Government should be as concerned about foreigners as they are about their own citizens. No, that's what the U.S. is right now, and we're in a situation where 80% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. 28 million Americans face eviction. 29 million Americans are about to lose their job, while other countries are getting billions from us. So no. All people, regardless of factors like culture or sexuality, should be treated equally. Yeah. I mean, I believe you should treat your neighbors equally and all that. It is important that we further my group's goals above all others. Depending on what group, like, if you're talking about my political party, no. But if you're talking about my country's goals, yeah, I believe we should move forward and further the goals of the United States above others. I'm just going to say neutral, though. Okay, yeah. So, it shows you what I am. I'm a centrist, pretty much. It should tell me what else I believe in, but yeah, I think this is what I said. Okay, this shows you what a true centrist is, not what the media calls a centrist. Which a centrist just means a socialist or someone who's not quite a socialist to them. But yeah, here's what a true centrist is. Yeah, I believe 52% markets to 48% equality, so I guess that mean I'd lean slightly to the right. Diplomatic access, it's axis. I'm balanced but lean toward more towards the nation, which means I'd lean slightly towards the right. Modern civil axis, straight right down the middle. And social axis or societal axis, I'm pretty much down the middle with tradition and progress. So yeah, personally, I would classify myself as a slightly right-leaning centrist, but yeah, I'm out. I'm out. Happy MLK Day, guys. Peace.